For our main match, we go to Highbury for Arsenal against Derby County.
McFarlane is right there, being barged off the ball, in fact, but still getting it across. McLintock away, and Gemma with a shot, saved there instinctively, I think, by Wilson, but saved nonetheless. And now Hinton turning it in again.
And our studio guest today is George Armstrong of Arsenal, probably having his best spell since he joined the club, and he'll be talking to Jimmy Hill. But now it's time for the action and the first visit of the big match this season to Highbury. Arsenal against Derby County, and while Arsenal have consolidated their good form of last season, Derby have slipped badly, and here they face a task as formidable as any in the First Division. Because Arsenal, unbeaten at home, again field a settled side, a side in which Ray Kennedy, with 12 goals, has taken so much of the glory. But alongside Kennedy and forming a dangerous spearhead for the Arsenal this season is John Radford. Here's Radford, whose form has never been better. As for Derby County, they've been plagued by injury, and Terry Hennessy here has had more than his share. Now most of those injuries have cleared up, and one man who will have his work cut out today is Roy McFarlane, their young number 5. In the Highbury crowd, Scottish team manager Bobby Brown on the left with Wally Barnes. He'll be watching men like O'Hare, Kelly and Graham.
Well, it seems that the shouting match on the terrace has got a little more warmth and passion to it than the match on the pitch itself. But here's Radford. And a break by Armstrong, and McFarlane getting there first, and Kelly going in! Kelly! Oh, great piece of opportunism by Eddie Kelly! The pace of Kelly really made that one as he pounced on that pass back, took it round Les Green, and quickly found the back of that Derby County net to put Arsenal ahead. Armstrong with Derby claiming that he was offside, but the linesman keeping his flag down. Armstrong still going on and just failing to poke that one through by the near post. While Derby were waiting and half appealing, Armstrong was going on, and 3 men converging on him just to prevent him scoring. Rice. Armstrong. I think Arsenal's best chance at the moment is to play as strongly as possible on Armstrong, who seems to have the pace and the skill to take on his fullback and beat him. Here's Armstrong again, beating him once more, and almost getting that across, and certainly getting a corner as 2 men came in quickly, Mackay and Gemmell. But Armstrong seems the best possible way for Arsenal to find a way through this Derby defence at the moment. Roberts again gone to that near post. There's the corner. Roberts looking for it, and Kennedy couldn't quite turn it back, and my goodness! With Green at one side of his goal, Graham very nearly turned that over his shoulder and dribbled it in by the near post. Mackay getting it away off the line. That's for O'Hare. Oh, McLintock going on, and McLintock with a shot that's wide. Well, we used to see a lot of that sort of thing from McLintock when he was a midfield player. But that's the first time I've seen him go forward into a shooting position for Arsenal this season. Arsenal's throw. George Graham. That's aimed towards Radford. Up he goes! Oh, Radford! My goodness, what a leap! Beautifully timed there. The cross from Graham. And Radford leaping superbly to time it and head it into that Derby net for number 2. Rice back to Wilson, and now it has come to Armstrong. Beating Derby, a little flick there wide of Hector. Beautiful play. This is much better now from Arsenal. McNabb, Radford, McNabb. Turned there under that crossbar and pushed away by Green. Oh, a really brilliant move there by Arsenal. Begun as so many things this afternoon have been begun by George Armstrong, the number 7. Hinton to take it. O'Hare waiting, Hennessy making a burst as well. McFarlane is right there, being barged off the ball, in fact. but still getting it across. McLintock away, and Gemma with a shot, saved there instinctively, I think, by Wilson, but saved nonetheless. And now Hinton turning it in again, and pushed away by Peter Storey.
Now let's meet our guest, George Armstrong. And let me tell you first of all how he came to be our guest. We went into the Arsenal dressing room at the end of the match yesterday and asked the players who they would most like to see from their team on the programme today. Unanimously, they plumped for George Armstrong, saying his form over the last couple of months has been fabulous. Here's George with Jimmy Hill.
Well, George, that's praise indeed from your own teammates.
To thank the lads myself on Monday, I think.
You won't share the fee with them, will you?
No, not at all, no.
George, how long have you been at Arsenal?
Well, this is my 10th season now, Jimmy.
And how do you feel the club has progressed in that time? I mean, are Arsenal as great now, as good as they've ever been?
Well, in that time I've certainly seen good individuals, but this team at the present time is the best I've played in.
What is there about the team that makes it extra special?
Well, just the spirit in the team. Everybody's fighting for one another. And that's about it, you know. They've got faith in each other, and there's a lot of skill in the team actually as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because some Arsenal fans feel that there still isn't enough skill in the middle of the field. Do you think there is skill there?
Well, I suppose every team's got room for improvement, but at the moment I can't see anybody getting our team at the moment, you know.
What about your passing movements? Do you think you're building those gradually? They're getting better as time goes on?
We can pass as good as anybody on the day. It just depends on which defence lets you do it.
Yeah.
Derby, I thought, in the first 35 minutes yesterday played great, especially Dave Mackay.
But what about when you got your confidence? Your passing then improved, do you think?
Yeah, so I've never thought we were a bad, team for passing. We've always been very good at it. In fact, George Graham and myself and Bob McNabb, we've got such a good understanding that just like clockwork now, really.
Mm. You talk about when you were a young boy. What about the young boys in the Arsenal team now? Do you see them great futures for them?
Oh, great players. Ray Kennedy, Eddie Kelly. Well, Charlie George is injured, but all these lads are great players. Pat Rice even playing at fullbacks having a great season.
And John Roberts, who's made immense progress over here.
Well, John, I think he surprised really everybody. Playing tremendous. I've never seen a centre forward have a good game against him yet, and he's played against some of probably the best in the country at the moment.
Well, I think George, you must take, along with the other Arsenal experienced players, Frank McLintock and the others, credit for helping them improve alongside you.
Well, this is it, Jim. You've got to have faith in everybody, and Frank especially has given the lads some encouragement. In fact, all the experienced players have been moulding around the young ones and have done great with them.
George, thank you very much indeed. I wish you another 10 years in football.
Our main match, Arsenal against Liverpool.
And Highway is really away. Oh, good work by Wilson.
Our studio guest today, Frank McLintock, the skipper who's done so much to inspire Arsenal this season. But now the action from Highbury yesterday. Arsenal against Liverpool, a vital First Division match because both are pacemakers in the table, both desperate now for victory to keep in touch with Leeds at the very top. And today, undoubtedly, it'll be a stern challenge for Arsenal, but at least they have John Samuels back in their side, his first home appearance after a bad ankle injury, skillful attacker, powerful shot, and at the other end of the Arsenal side, a return to Highbury for the number 6, Peter Simpson. This after a cartilage operation. Now he takes his familiar place in the back four. Arsenal have a good record against Merseyside this season with 3 points out of 4 against Everton. But Liverpool now come here with John Toshek, their new £110,000 signing from Cardiff City, a real threat in the air for the Arsenal defence. Toshek, who scored in his first game against Everton last week.
Simpson. Must give Arsenal a lot of reassurance to see Simpson back in their back four. Rice and Armstrong just getting a boot to it. And there do seem to be these moments of extreme hesitancy in this Liverpool defence. It's Kennedy putting it back now for Samuels. A chance to turn it in left-footed, far side. McNabb. Lawler beating him away, and there's going to be a free kick with the linesman's flag going on the far side. The referee's whistle as well. And a free kick to Arsenal. Lloyd a little bit shaky there in his own 6-yard area, which is dangerous. Lawler impeding McNabb on the far side, and that's why we get this free kick. And that wall surely has got to move back a little further, but just chipped in there, and Lloyd not getting it away. Storey bursting through, and a ricochet off the Liverpool defence. Storey really caught it. A man who scored only 2 goals this season, and both of them for a penalty, very nearly putting Arsenal into the lead, but getting a corner for them. With coming up to 8 minutes gone, George Armstrong with it. Under that Liverpool crossbar again, coming towards Samuels, first time on the volley. down for Clements. McLaughlin. Hughes surging forward to look for Highway, nodded in nicely there towards Toshak. Highway again, challenged by Simpson. Fair acceleration, Highway's got to the far side. Oh, and how did that one go in? 3 men finished up in the net, and somehow the ball escaped it. McLintock, Radford. Story trying to push his way through. Kennedy now for John Samuels. He really is in the mood for it this afternoon, Samuels. Simpson for Arsenal. Armstrong, room ahead of him. McNabb outside him. Armstrong going in. Challenge though by McLaughlin. It's still Armstrong going in. And Clements at full stretch to come out and gather that one. A real lovely little snaky run by George Armstrong. McNabb with the throw. Oh, that was too casual a pass by Story, and Highway is really away. Oh, good work by Wilson. A really great smother save by Bob Wilson. Tremendous run by Steve Highway there. Ross. Oh, and now Graham. Flicked off for Samuels. Graham! Oh, a fine goal! George Graham! And what a goal it was! That was unstoppable! A magnificent 1-2, and Graham on the volley, giving Clements no chance. By Graham, and he's flicked on to Kennedy. Oh, and surely he will score. Radford! After Kennedy made such a meal of it, with Liverpool claiming offside. And Radford, who finally put it in, when it seemed that Kennedy had lost the chance and Lloyd might have got it away. So 2-0. Rice. And now George Graham, just over! And in fact, whether that would have counted had it gone in or not, I don't know, because the whistle has certainly gone now. At what point it went, I don't know, but there's no doubt that George Graham scored the first goal for Arsenal to put them into the lead, with the second goal coming from John Radford to keep Arsenal's unbeaten home record, to put them just to his Radford, who scored that second one, to keep them well in touch still with Leeds United at the top of the table. And so the final score here at Highbury, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0.
A good solid performance there by Arsenal, I thought, although I noticed this morning that Bill Shankly, the Liverpool manager, said that he thought that both the Arsenal goals were offside. That's something we must investigate now with the Arsenal skipper Frank McLintock and with Frank, of course, Jimmy Hill.
Well, in fact, what Bill Shankly says, Frank, I think you'll agree, is always entertaining, but it's not always accurate, as we'll see later on. But I want to ask you, first of all, about the Liverpool side. What about their challenge?
A very strong team. It surprised me, actually, because they've changed their team quite dramatically from last season, Jimmy. They've got people like Ronnie Yates and Ian St John and Tommy Lawrence out, and I'm surprised they're doing so well. But evidently, they must have found some good players, the centre-half and the Highway, and they seem to have settled into a very difficult side to beat.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked enough about Liverpool now. What about this lovely London side, Arsenal, at the moment, second in the league, and the golden goal yesterday?
Well, we're playing. I think we're not playing just as well as we were, say, 3 or 4 weeks ago. But if you're going to try and win a championship or challenge for a championship, you'll have sticky spells, and sometimes you'll be a little bit lucky, and other times you'll probably be unlucky. Like I thought we were a few weeks ago against Crystal Palace. I thought we played well enough to win, and we didn't get the result, and we were a little bit disappointed. But
well, now, yesterday you didn't get the goal early on against his defence, but of course when you did get it, Bill Shankly said it was offside. We can now look and see exactly how it came about.
Well, the Arsenal forwards here do a lot of challenging here, putting the defence under pressure. I think that's John Samuels just wins the ball there to George Graham. George draws the man in, plays it to John Samuels, and a beautiful chip over his head. And you can see George is well onside, and he connects with a beautiful volley. And there's no chance of that ball being offside there, Jimmy, I don't think. No chance at all.
It's indicative, really, of the Arsenal method, the way in which you put defences under pressure to win the ball. I don't think sometimes the supporters really understand this, because they look upon you as a hard, grinding side, but you have to win it before you can play that kind of football.
Of course you do, and it's very difficult to keep this sort of tackles in. You know, if you're diving from one player to another, you have to get it done collectively by your forwards, or else you'll just get shattered after 20 minutes. And you can see just from that goal there was about 3 players involved there. There was Peter Storey, John Samuels and George Graham, and eventually we won the ball, a good 1-2, and it finished up with a goal.
The last one came from your own half of the field, the second goal, actually.
Yes.
A good goal, well worked?
Yes, I thought so. I thought there was a suspicion of it being offside, but after watching it, I don't think it was. George Armstrong just plays the ball in here. It's controlled well by George Graham.
Header.
You
can see that just on the edge of the frame of your picture, you can see there Kennedy, who is outside the 10-yard circle there and onside.
I think there's about a yard onside there, Jimmy, myself.
Look how well he beats the goalkeeper here on a sixpence. A lot of people blamed him for missing that goal, but I don't think they realised the difficulties he was under, because there was Lloyd watching him. Now, while Lloyd's watching the ball, Radford catches him out the same way.
Yes.
So that Kennedy was beating the goalkeeper and watching him and lost the ball. Lloyd got it. Then he was so busy watching the ball that he lost Radford, and that was the end of it. I feel that Arsenal's problems at the moment are that you can't find your best team. You've got so many good players, Frank, that wouldn't like to pick the best Arsenal 11 at the moment, and I think Bertie Mee's got a difficult job. Do you think that can be a disadvantage?
Not in the long run, I don't think, Jimmy. It can be until eventually they find the perfect blend, which must be there, I think. And it may just happen by accident. Maybe somebody gets injured and another player will come in, and it just might be the perfect blend.
I think one of the problems is that with young players in the side, like Kelly and Kennedy and things like that, they can't, because they've not been in the game that long, they can't produce consistent form. The crowd, I think, in view of what he's done, were a bit short-tempered with Kennedy yesterday. What do you think of him as a prospect?
I think he's a great player. For a defender, he's a wonderful man to find. If you ever look and you're struggling to find any player, Ray's always showing for the ball, shields the ball very well and lays it off. He's only 19, he's only been a professional, I think, about a year and a half, and I think he's going to get better and better. I think he's going to be one of the best centre-forwards in the country.
Well, it looks as if the best of Arsenal is yet to come.
I hope so, yes, I think so, Jim.
Is Frank McLintock going to be there then too?
Oh, I hope so, Jim. Getting on a bit now.
Our main match today comes from Highbury, that massive derby game, Arsenal against Chelsea.
Little one towards the near post, Storey going in! Oh, against the post!
Also today we start to search for a song for Arsenal fans to sing at Wembley, and we have the backing in this of manager Bertie Mee and his whole team as well. But now let's get on with the action from Highbury yesterday. Arsenal against Chelsea. A lot more than London Pride hanging on this one, with Arsenal second in the table and Chelsea third. A week of great tension for the Arsenal with those cup semi-finals, but in terms of manpower, at least they've managed to come through unscathed. Their team for this derby game is unchanged. Frank McLintock and George Armstrong both passed fitness test during the morning. But the real hero to emerge at Highbury in the last week is, of course, Peter Storey, whose goals kept Arsenal alive in the Cup. Backed up in every sense by the bold front running of Ray Kennedy. What a brilliant first full season he's having. As for Chelsea, their team is also unchanged. It's the one that's disposed of Bruges and Leeds United in the past 10 days. And yet it's curious to see the name of Peter Bonetti missing. Illness has kept him out.
Hudson really was knocked to the ground there by Storey. Hollins with the throw, and the linesman's flag's gone up. Osgood! He's flicked it! Has it gone over? But no, the whistle had gone in any case on that goal line, and the linesman had his flag up a long time before the whistle went as well. So there were two offences there, but Chelsea desperately close to going ahead. Again to the Arsenal with Armstrong, floating it once more. Kennedy looking for it, but Webb in fact getting ahead to it first. And Webb, having cleared it to Baldwin, was streaking up the field himself. Kennedy turning it on. Webb now trying to get back as Radford turns it in, and just wide there by George Graham. McNabb to Kennedy. And Now to Armstrong. Kennedy to George Graham. Little one towards the near post. Story going in! Oh, against the post! What a beautiful cross though by Graham. And Story of all people popping up in that 6-yard area. There he is, to nod it against the far post. And now doing destroying work at the back for the Arsenal. But still Chelsea with Houseman. And Wilson getting that one at the near post. Charlie Cook with the corner though. Dempsey and Osgood. Dempsey getting ahead to it, and Baldwin to flick it in, but in fact the whistle had gone. Because Dempsey was levering himself up onto the shoulders of an Arsenal defender. Tremendous crowd, and obviously any vantage point at Highbury this afternoon is a very good one indeed. Hudson and McLintock. Charlie George again bursting in on the scene there, and McCready going with him, but he still found Radford, and now George Graham. Armstrong coming in on it. Beautifully played there by Armstrong. Oh, and a dummy there, let's Kennedy in! Oh, a fine goal by Kennedy! Armstrong played his part. George played his part, and so too did Ray Kennedy. And Rice with the free kick. Towards the far post there, Radford with his head, just over. Climbing well at that far side, John Radford. Hollins now to drive the free kick. Dempsey looking to get underneath it, but it's Hudson. Told to float it back again. This time Simpson was up there, and Cook. And Dooney just over. Arsenal's throw. George Graham. Faced by Hollins. George Graham again in very quickly. My goodness, there wasn't much to spare with that one. And Chelsea claiming that Graham helped it along with his arm. Hudson again. McCready's gone down the left for him. Chelsea coming forward now in a fair bit of strength, but being pushed back once more. And now George to fasten on this one to show his speed. Radford, George, and now Kennedy claims for offside, but not given, and a second goal by Ray Kennedy. George absolutely delighted, and as that one came across, Chelsea was standing still, and Kennedy controlled it beautifully to hammer that ball low past Phillips to put Arsenal 2-0 ahead. Well, Bertie Mee, the Arsenal manager on the left there, very satisfied, I would think, with the team's second half performance. Now 2 minutes of injury time gone. And there goes the final whistle, and Arsenal have won only one of the last 11 games at Highbury between these two clubs, have now laid that bogey with a victory with 2 goals here by the number 10 Ray Kennedy that keeps them still very much in the running for the championship. 2 goals to Kennedy and a victory for the Arsenal. The final score then at Highbury is Arsenal 2, Chelsea 0.
Well, a fine performance from Ray Kennedy. And it was a funny game in many ways. You expect the boys to have a go in the local derby, and they did. Lots of it was sporting. They knocked each other over, got up and shook hands and went on. And the crowd, I think, entered into the fun and the spirit of it. But there was one moment in which the game may well have boiled over. It came near the end and really was unnecessary. And it shows how things can start from almost nothing. The first incident, Osgood flicks the ball up. Frank McLintock goes in. He's high for the ball, but I think he went for it quite legitimately. Now Ronnie Harris comes in higher than ever. And Frank McLintock didn't like that and gives him a nudge on the way back. That's not going to kill anybody, but you can see how the bad temper is just getting into it and how things may come out of hand. But there we were, so much for that particular incident, but there's been a lot of discussion recently, some of it on this programme, about the business of defenders tackling from behind. Jeff Hurst, Frank McLintock have said that they shouldn't do it. Ronnie Harris thinks that they should. Yesterday, we've had a perfect example of this kind of tackling when a forward screens the ball. As the ball's laid out, Ray Kennedy takes it and Harris tries to get in but can't. Now there's a bit of legitimate screening, a bit of instruction, but in the end, should a defender have the right to do that? I'd think that would be better out of our British game. I wonder whether you agree with me.
So there we are, the tackle from behind, one player going through another in an effort to get the ball. Should it be in or should it be out? You to decide. But now he's turned to our search for an Arsenal song, something in fact that we put to the Arsenal manager Bertie Mee and the players yesterday, and they were very happy indeed to accept it, because it's something that we feel that Arsenal desperately need at Wembley on May the 8th if they're not to be outsung by that famous Liverpool cop. And by an enormous coincidence, it was something that Danny Blanchflower in his column in the Sunday Express this morning also agreed with. Said, Danny, Arsenal supporters have something to sing about now that they're going to Wembley, but there's no real song in their heart. Perhaps it'll come before they arrive at Wembley, because we know what Liverpool's will be, You'll Never Walk Alone. I hope they're not singing alone at the Cup final. It would add a bit of colour to the occasion if the Arsenal supporters could now come up with a song of their own. Well, that was a coincidence. That's Danny's view. Now let's get a view on the question of an Arsenal song from their manager, Bertie Mee.
Oh, very valuable indeed. When we get to Wembley with Liverpool in the opposite camp, as you know, the Kop make a tremendous noise and they have a wonderful choir there. If we could compete in any shape or form, I think it'd be a tremendous boost to the boys. It really would.
So you and the lads are really supporting this effort to find a real Arsenal song?
Yes, indeed. I've already spoken to them and they're very enthusiastic about it. They think it's a great idea and anything we can do will most certainly help.
So there you are, you Arsenal fans. As Bertie Mee says, it really would be a tremendous boost for the boys at Wembley. Now, this is our plan because we believe that Land and Hope and Glory could be the right sort of stirring music for an occasion like this. And what we want you to do is to try and find the right sort of words to go with that tune to produce a sound and a sight like this. Frank McLintock, Bertie Mee and the boys are going to look through the whole lot of them and choose the right words for that Arsenal song. And we promise to give you lads up on the North Bank and the rest of you at Highbury, 1 or 2 rehearsals at first team matches before you go to Wembley. So let's find a song for the Arsenal and help them to win at Wembley. Yes, coming up out of that tunnel as you've never seen them before, Spurs and Arsenal, that mighty London derby game. That's our main match today, as we say. Welcome once more, especially this week to all our friends in Australia who are just starting their season with us. But first, let's get on with the action, and we start at White Hart Lane with Spurs against Arsenal. Spurs lying 5th in the table, Arsenal 2nd on a pitch that has soaked up a week of rain so well. For this game, Spurs make an important change. Alan Gilzean is out of the attack with a leg strain. Jimmy Neighbour takes his place. Defender Philip Beale is still out with injury, but Ralph Coates now comes back as substitute. As for Arsenal, they decided to rely on the side that got back to winning form with that victory over Leeds United last week, and it means no place for skipper Frank McLintock. He's the sub, and Bob McNabb, as you can see, is the captain.
In towards Chivers, nodded on nicely there, and now Martin Peters, hard and low across, and a deflection, probably off Blockley, certainly not off a Tottenham player, and going behind for the corner to Tottenham Hotspur. That left Wilson stranded. Kennedy. And now Armstrong. Armstrong, and this might be the chance for Arsenal now, with Kennedy and Radford in the middle. Kennedy lets it go, and Mike England saving Spurs at the very last, because that was going through towards Radford, but a lovely break by Arsenal, led by Armstrong, and now McNabb, onto the right foot by McNabb and into the side netting. Simpson. That'll come towards Radford, nodded down there for Kennedy. Turned in nicely for Alan Ball. And just across the face of that Tottenham goal. And behind for the goal kick. But a very good piece of understanding again by Arsenal coming forward. And Alan Ball popping up. If there's one criticism that a lot of people have of Alan Ball, he does fight shy of shooting a goal, but he worked himself into a beautiful position there for the shot. Chivers coming fast away from that Arsenal defence. Peters, Evans, Pearce, Story. Again Martin Peters. Evans first time. Pearce, and that'll fall for Martin Peters. And now Chivers and a 1-2 with Peters. And Blockley in there, and some pushing as well. As Evans blasts one's across, and it's there! No, it's been disallowed. Jimmy Neighbour thought he'd put Spurs ahead, but the linesman was flagging for offside, and the goal does not stand. And in England and Perryman misunderstanding each other's intentions, and now Neighbour in full stride. But Blockley and Rice coming across to cover. He's got Chivers there as well. Chivers! Oh, just wide, and he hit it so well. Oh, yes, says Bob Wilson. That was close, and Wilson knows it better than most. Eddie Kelly. Now ball to Radford. Armstrong. Still with Armstrong, and that's a good-looking cross by Armstrong. And it's there! The goal by Peter Story! It's Story who's got it. And it was a beautiful cross by Armstrong that set it up for him. The little man got it on his right foot, and it was a deep one that eluded everybody in the Spurs defence. Story popping up on the far post. 1-0 to Arsenal. Jimmy Pearce with this throw. Again, quite a good long one. Chivers hoping to use his height at the near post. Perryman turning it back for Knowles. Perryman again. Maybe he'll line up a shot. Not too far for that. England trying at 1-2, and there are so many Arsenal players back. All of them, in fact, were back except Alan Ball, who's on the ball at the moment. Armstrong. And now Radford. Story was offside, but it was all right. Now Radford. And that is going to be number 2. John Radford. The linesman, in fact, there was a degree of possibility that Story might have been offside, but then he ran into an onside position, and Radford was always onside, and Radford running through, making it 2-0. Jennings, the unhappy job now of picking it out of the net. Radford. Stopped by Mike England. Knowles. Back for Pat Jennings. Blockley. All straight at Peters, and now Chivers. Can he burst on this one? Still with Chivers, and a flick on Peters. Yes, it's a goal! 2-1. Martin Peters, the scorer. Beautifully taken. And that really opens things up. The Arsenal player, and I think it's Peter Simpson, is down and hurt after that challenge by Chivers, and Story is going absolutely mad with everyone around him. Linesman flagging for offside. The Arsenal supporters think it's all over, but it's not quite yet. And now it's Evans now for Tottenham. The last crisis for Arsenal. The Spurs go in again, all of them. And Blockley once more gets above them all. And it's all over. And Arsenal have won this Derby game at Tottenham. A fortnight ago, everyone was talking of crisis when they lost to Derby. Since then, they've beaten Leeds, and now they've beaten Spurs by 2-1. Story, the scorer of their first goal. John Radford, the scorer of their second goal. And then when Ralph Coates in the picture there came on, Martin Peters scored the goal for Spurs that gave them a bit of hope. And finally, in a thrilling last 5 minutes or so, Arsenal held on and took 2 points from the game.
But what about that second Arsenal goal? It certainly caused another storm of controversy again today. My view, as I said in the commentary, was that Peter Storey was not seeking to gain an advantage because he was going back towards his own goal, and indeed was not interfering with play for that very self-same reason. The Spurs manager, Bill Nicholson, had quite a different view. But first, let's just remind you of that incident. Storey on the right of the picture, offside, no doubt, and the Spurs defenders waiting for the referee to whistle. Radford goes on and scores. Now, what Billy Nicholson says is that Storey was interfering with play because those three Spurs defenders were influenced by his presence there in an offside position and they stopped running. Now, Billy stresses that he's not complaining about the decision. Indeed, he recognises that his players ignored the very first law of all, that you must play to the whistle. But as he says, it's an interesting point of law. It opens up quite an area of discussion. And before we see it again, stopped at the crucial moment this time, here's Jim.
Well, I have a lot of sympathy with Bill Nicholson, but on the other hand, in no way can you criticise the referee or the linesman as the law stands. Without any doubt, the linesman flagged for offside because he saw Storey in an offside position. But the referee, who's the only man who has the right to stop the game, decides that, in his opinion, he's not interfering with play. So he waves it on. You can see him waving play on, and the Spurs players there, the top left of the picture, still arguing with him. Radford's not arguing. He's streaking on there to score the goal. The real argument was Storey interfering with play or not. That is at the discretion of the referee, that's to be decided, and he said that with any doubt in his mind he wasn't. But the whole point it raises is the law in relation to interfering with play. People say, well, isn't that difficult for the referee? Doesn't it sometimes rebound on managers and players? Why shouldn't you be precise and have it that every time a man is in an offside position, then he should be given offside? Well, that would be all right, apart from the very structure of the game, the basis of the game. If that was so, then Stanley Matthews, having laid on so many goals in his lifetime, by dribbling to the goal line and laying the ball back, would have been offside and would have had to have been given offside at the moment the ball was shot into the goal by his colleague. So the very structure of the game is at stake there, and at the moment, nobody's suggested a better way of resolving this law. The only thing, the real lesson that comes out of that, of course, is that the Spurs players should have played on. What about Spurs? I said at the start of the season, or a little after the start of the season, I didn't think they'd win the league. Best they can hope for is a couple of cups. But Arsenal have got a grip of themselves and look as if they're in a position to challenge for the league again. Due not only to the great form of George Armstrong, he's back in the side, but also Bob Wilson, sure and confident, and Kennedy, much more aggressive up front. Maybe they're still not the greatest and most attractive side in the land to watch, but on the other hand, they've got back that asset. They're so difficult to beat.
It's down to Upton Park for the game on a rather grey Saturday afternoon between London's two highest-placed clubs. West Ham, who've had a tremendous run into the end of the season and are at present lying fifth, against Arsenal, who are lying second. West Ham's crowds this season have been better than last, and their players had their own way of saying thank you for the support they've received over the past months. And having said thank you, their pride is now at stake against their near rivals Arsenal, and for this game West Ham United are unchanged, with Bertie Lutton picked up for a song from Brighton and Hove Albion, keeping his place, and Johnny Ayres is named as the substitute. Now, West Ham lost on a penalty to Arsenal at Highbury away back in August, and Arsenal now come without Jeff Blockley in their defence, and that means something of a reshuffle.
And just as when they were coming forward, Arsenal had everybody forward. Now they've got so many men back. Robson, Lutton, Moore, Lutton again. It's going to be very hard to prize an opening, and McNabb stops it again, and it's with ball. First time to George, and what a good ball. Radford streaking through the middle. That's the ball played for John Radford. Beautiful play by Arsenal. Lovely move by Arsenal from one end of the field to the other. Radford's final shot was wide, but a superb piece of play by Alan Ball. Brooking having placed the ball not inside the corner quadrant. Curling inside there, and Robson just over. Bertie Mee in the front row of the director's box. Arsenal need to win their last 2 matches by an aggregate of 7-0 to catch Liverpool if Liverpool lose today. Ron Greenwood on the other side there, absolutely delighted with West Ham's form in the last couple of months. Now everybody watching intently as Trevor Brooking places the ball for another corner. Clyde Best right in there again for West Ham. And a little too high for Best. Story only half getting that one away. But now it's with Alan Ball. To Kennedy. Ball and George have made the running up front for him. Alan Ball again. Beautifully laid off first time for Radford. Lampard in the way. Now only as far as Rice. Radford. Kennedy on the far post, getting ahead to it, and it's there! Ray Kennedy. Well, out of the blue that one came, and in fact the crowd was stunned by it, but a lovely cross from the right, eluding those West Ham defenders, and Ray Kennedy gets there first, and that's goal number 11 for him. Rice again at that near post, Brooking again with a corner, again curling in there, but that time Story getting ahead to it. Lampard. Brooking in a lot of space there. Time to measure his cross, and Bonds is there! Oh, a superb save by Bob Wilson from Billy Bonds. Bonds put his head in his hands. He could hardly believe it himself that Bob Wilson, from that range, tremendous reflexes by the Arsenal goalkeeper. Ball being held off at the moment, and Lutton doing very well indeed, but Kelly there to cut it out. And Ball, of course, available to get it back again. Charlie George, nice ball by him into the path of George Armstrong. Still with Armstrong, and this is number 2, and it's Radford. And it's very simple for Radford. They don't come easier. A beautiful ball by Charlie George sent Armstrong on his way. And Armstrong's low cross, not held by Bobby Ferguson, and Radford had time to consider where he was going to put it. Bonds to Kevin Locke. Lutton away on the left, and that was beautifully played by Locke and nicely killed by Lutton. And Brooking now for West Ham. Again, space enough for him to measure his cross. Measured there towards Ted McDougall. He got the head in, and Wilson diving well to his left to gather it. Arsenal's throw. Nab stretching for the header, a little more than he'd want to, and turned on nicely there by Robson to Aris. Shielding it well. Nice little touch there by Aris for Brooking. Oh, and he hit that well. Brooking again. Yes! Yes, it was there. Brooking, in fact. And it was Rice who turned it over the line. And I suppose it goes down as an own goal, but Brooking, having had one shot charged down, found that the ball was still in front of him, hammered it hard, and Rice, desperately getting across the goal, could do no more than just poke it over the line. And now Rice. Kennedy is all right, he's onside, and this is the chance now for Arsenal to make it 3-1. 2 other players are up, and Ferguson stretches himself like elastic and grabs that ball and stops it going for Radford and Ball to nod into an empty net. Moore's throw. Lampard. Moore again, lofting it in once more. Robson is right in there, and again Arsenal get it away to Charlie George, and now it's for Alan Ball. Well, that was almost the perfect pass, but it was cut out by McDowell. Robson and McDougall didn't come back quickly enough. They were caught offside, but the final whistle had gone in any case. Trevor Brooking, with his goal in the second half, although it was finally put into the back of the Arsenal net by Pat Rice from about a yard range, giving the game a very interesting twist towards the end. after Radford and Kennedy had scored the goals to put Arsenal into that strong position in the first half. And so we're left with a final scoreline after a very entertaining last league match of the season here at Upton Park. A scoreline that reads West Ham United 1, Arsenal 2.
Well, the right sort of spectacle to end the league season at West Ham, where their crowds have, as I said, been better this season than last. Sad in a way to see West Ham joining this so-called anti-TV brigade at a time when they've shown that by producing the right brand of football with the right outlook, you can still pull in the fans even without winning things. Maybe less griping about television and hooliganism and the rest of it all, and a stronger following of the Ron Greenwood approach to football is the strongest hope for football as a whole. And for once, I believe Jimmy Hill and I are in agreement.
Well, I do agree, because I thoroughly enjoyed that game of football yesterday. It's always a pleasure to see West Ham's style of football, because they do play the most entertaining part of football in the game. But more than that, I want to point out to Arsenal fans that their team too, although people say they're not an interesting team to watch, made their share of the game yesterday. They were as skillful as West Ham in conceiving passing movements, really entertaining stuff from players who haven't got the reputation of being very skillful. Look at that early ball there from Ball, giving George the chance that he needs to lay that one in Radford's path. Beautifully conceived, quick striking, and Radford, the ball bumped there at the end and he missed the goal by 2 yards finally. But this quick strike of Arsenal's was what won them the game yesterday. West Ham took too long to build up and Arsenal were prepared to do it quickly. A little bit of luck maybe about this goal. That's the first goal coming up, across from Radford. Kennedy wins it. I think maybe he was trying to play it across the goal and it went in. But there were 4 features in the game yesterday that I particularly want to draw attention to. First of all, about West Ham. I think they showed the whole of football a lesson with these first 2 incidents. So often we see players rolling over in supposing agony when they've been hurt. Look what way West Ham do it. Charlie George Foot came up there against Bobby Moore, hit him in the face. It really did. But what does Bobby Moore do? No complaining to the referee, no rolling about. He takes a free kick, getting on with the game, and nearly produces a goal in the process. We can see the same attitude now from Aris. As this ball comes across to the right, you see Bob McNabb go in very fiercely. I'm not complaining about that. He had to go for that ball. But Aris fell very firmly on the floor there, and he had maybe reason to stay down. But what did he do? Got up, had a smile with Bob McNabb, and kept the game going, which is the kind of thing that the crowds like, really, and keeps them interested for the whole of the 90 minutes. Another incident now, showing the better side of West Ham, and of Arsenal in the end. Alan Ball there's advising the referee what he should do. He's complaining about something. A little bit of humour creeps in. Bobby Moore puts his arm round his shoulder, pats him on the back, and once more we see the football and not the chatter. And Arsenal, they've got their humour too. What about that? For a Maxwell walk there from Eddie Kelly. I think these days that one of the things that's gone out of the game is the humour, and maybe it's one of the things that's keeping so many people away from the game. There he is again. What a lovely little shot of Eddie Kelly beforehand. A light-hearted approach to the game. Maybe that's one of the things that's needed. But my message to everyone for next season, to the players and managers particularly, is that if they play the quality of football that we saw yesterday, they show the sportsmanship and add a touch of humour, never mind television, never mind hooligans, you won't be able to keep people out of the grounds.
But first, it's action, and for a start, we join the 51,000 crowd at Highbury in the warm sunshine for the start of another season. Highbury looking quite magnificent, and the Arsenal team now looking more like its old self, with the return of Rice, Armstrong and George after injury or suspension. As for Manchester United, a young, rather raw-looking side, with number 4 Jerry Daly making his first appearance in the league side, and at number 8 Trevor Anderson, who was such a star for Northern Ireland in the home internationals. It really is a day for youngsters.
Simpson with the free kick. Charlie George coming for this one, dummying there, and Kennedy now! Yes! Ray Kennedy! 1-0 to Arsenal with less than 2 minutes gone. And really, it all began with the foul by Holton on Radford, giving that free kick, Simpson floating it in, a nice dummy by Charlie George, and Kennedy taking the rebound to hammer it past Alex Stepney. Simpson again, the man who took the free kick the last time, taking this one as well. Deep towards Ray Kennedy. Ball is there as well. Touch back for Armstrong. Hit on the volley. Radford trying to get his head to it, but it was a little too low. Charlie George now to Radford. Can tee one up? And it won't quite go. Booted away there by Steve James, when that looked like number 2, but Radford looks in exhilarating form at the moment. Charlie George with the throw. George again. Deep towards Ray Kennedy. Price has got it again! Beautiful skills by Price, hitting it on the volley from an angle as sharp as that. Popping up in all the unexpected places. Really a player with a tremendous potential here at Arsenal. Rice with a header. Holton winning it in the air. Charlie George again. Now to Kennedy. Wide for Armstrong. Again Rice using the width of this pitch well. It'll come for Armstrong. First time there towards Radford. A beautiful header, just over. Free kick for them, which Alan Ball is going to take. Blockley, in fact, had made a tremendous late run in towards that area, and there's Blockley getting in against the crossbar. Well, that was very close indeed. Blockley puffing out his cheeks there in that area. Came so very close indeed, the number 5. Crossed again there towards Radford, yes! Two nothing. And good play again by Kennedy. And the ball coming across for Radford, very invitingly indeed, to hook that one in. 2-0 to Arsenal. Bertie Mee on the left of the picture in the sunglasses, not smiling, but I would think feeling quite happy. Morgan again. Across towards George Graham, and against the crossbar there by Graham. The nearest by a long way that Manchester United have come to a goal. Here's Morgan again, across the face of the goal this time, and a goal kick. Well, a goal then would have put Manchester United right back in it. George Graham, the former Arsenal player, hitting that crossbar. Buchan again. George Graham sold a beautiful dummy on Alan Ball there. The pass now for Martin. Young with Morgan free on the right. Beautifully played there by Young for Morgan, and this could be very dangerous as the bodies pile in there. And a few boots were flying and the ball finishes up in the net, but nothing is given. Because there must have been an unfair foul, probably by Macari on Wilson. Free kick. In fact, it was thrown in the net. Well, Ball picking up that loose one very well indeed. On for Charlie George. Still with George. And a tremendous shot and a fine save. That really was magnificent football. The break by Ball, the dummy by George, and the shot, and the magnificent save by Alex Stepney, which drew applause from both Manchester United and the Arsenal players. Martin. Buchan. Martin again. Oh, it opened up a bit for him there for a moment. Buchan again. And a header without really enough power there from McElroy. Charlie George. Kennedy taking possession with his ally up front. Radford away on the left here. The cross again by Radford as George goes in. Kennedy there too. And over the top by Alan Ball. Cry of Super Reds coming up from the North Bank, and Arsenal in patches have really looked in superb form this afternoon. Blockley and Simpson misunderstanding each other. Macari with a shot, yes! It's disallowed. It's disallowed. Well, he's disallowed that one. But even so, Alan Ball is furious with the muddle in that Arsenal defence. It can hardly have been for offside. It can only have been for pushing on an Arsenal defender, I would have thought. But whatever it was, it's Ball to Kennedy. Charlie George. Pace really has flagged now, and I'm surprised it stayed as high as it has for so long in this tremendous heat. Ray Kennedy. Playing it through for Alan Ball again. Here's a chance for Ball. 3-0. With 3 minutes left, that close-knit work again on the edge of the area pays off for Arsenal as Alan Ball sneaks in and can almost choose his spot past Stepney.
Right, this Arsenal performance yesterday, Malcolm. In fact, I came away from Highbury not knowing whether to be delighted for Arsenal or very sorry for Manchester United. You've seen what the viewers have seen.
I felt that Arsenal played with a lot of confidence, played as a team, very sure of each other and knew what each other were doing. And I felt that Manchester United had a goal against them in the first minute, and from then on they played with no confidence whatsoever. Yeah. And I felt a lot of their defensive play was definitely at fault.
Well, we can illustrate that beautifully, I think, with a very deep piece of analysis as the last Arsenal goal was built up right from inside their own half. Malcolm.
As Alan Ball carrying the ball right up to the halfway line, there's Charlie George going away from him. Now watch this when Charlie George receives the ball. He receives it, turns, plenty of time, nobody bothering him. Now that is bad defensive play. He hits a long ball out, which is a good ball, stretches the United defence very, very wide. Now there's a situation now which, there's James there, he should have gone very, very tight to Kennedy then and made him do exactly what James wanted him to do. Instead of that, he allows Kennedy to play the ball between him and Holton, and Alan Ball to pick his run exactly when he wants to. Alan Ball takes it left-hand side of the goalkeeper and just side puts it in the net.
Defenders have got to dominate forwards in those sort of areas, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Well, defenders must make forwards do what they want them to do. They don't allow them to do what the forward wants to do. You know, they must make the forward go in the position that they want them to go into.
But in fact, one player that didn't really figure in that move but had a tremendous game yesterday was John Radford.
Yeah, John Radford looks extremely fit and very, very sharp. And there's a situation here where he comes on fast onto a header. The long ball from Kennedy. And you'll see the ball rebound in a minute, come back to George Armstrong, who gets in a very, very good cross. There he is there, Armstrong, good cross, floating ball, and there's Radford, a good, powerful header. A lot of power just over the bar.
Getting in ahead of that defender too.
Yeah, he beat the defender at the ball, it was in the forward's favour, but he more or less knew where the ball was coming.
And this is Radford's goal.
Yeah, his Kennedy cross is a good cross that. Radford comes in and hits it on the volley with his right foot. And it goes to the left-hand side of Stepney.
We'll see now, Malcolm, John Radford putting his finger up to Bob McNabb, 1. And in fact, I can tell you a little story about that, because in a five-a-side practice on Friday night, I gather Radford was terrible. And Bob McNabb was having a go at him, and Radford said, I'll get 2 goals tomorrow.
Yes.
And he said, that's one of them. Very nice. But he looks very good indeed, Radford.
Yeah.
But first of all, it's current action, and for that we go to Highbury, where the ground staff at Arsenal have done a great job getting the pitch ready for this battle against Liverpool. But it's going to be a hard slog in heavy mud. These, then, are the 2 teams. Arsenal had a late shock. Striker John Radford's got a muscle injury, and Liam Brady comes in at number 9. Trevor Ross, a young Lancashire lad, is the sub. Liverpool unchanged. Phil Boersma gets the sub spot for them. Nobody in the crowd, of course, will be more interested in this game than the England manager Don Revie. In the centre there, on the right, of course, Jimmy Tarbuck, and I wouldn't mind betting that the talk at this moment is more about golf than football.
A free kick then to Liverpool, but by now Arsenal have got everybody back behind the ball, bar Brian King. Hughes with the free kick. Hit again, inevitably towards Toshak, gets in there. McNabb having trouble getting it away. Toshak gets it in again. Lindsay with the shot just over. Again, the threat of Toshak in the air, setting it all up again. When the ball came out to him, he had a shot. That was only half cleared, and Lindsay had, if anything, an even more powerful shot, and that just cleared the crossbar. So it's with ball. Played it again towards Brian Kidd. Story is in there too. Now Toshak. Story up there. Now Brady. Chance to cross in towards Kidd. Played back for Armstrong. Off it now. Ball. Yes, and a goal. 1-0 to Arsenal. So Alan Ball does it again. He killed off Liverpool up at Anfield. He scored last week at Coventry, and this week, in many ways, a very similar goal as the ball comes across to him, and from a very narrow angle indeed, he manages to thread it home. 1-0 to Arsenal. Matthews, what a good game he's had, and McNabb now sending Story on his way. Nice little ball there, played for Bob McNabb. There's the cross again. Oh, and Clements was in all sorts of trouble. Ball with the shot just over. And it was deflected there by a Liverpool defender. And there's another corner for Arsenal, and Ball getting in on the end again of that Arsenal move. Left foot shot that time. A deflection that sends it over. Harold Davey from Nottingham, and it's a corner which Brian Hall's going to take now for Liverpool. A deep floated one there. Rimmer's going for it, punching it away. Neil is there. He's got Hall available. Onto the left foot this time. Still not away by any means, and it's still not away. Lindsay going in there this time, and still it isn't away. Lindsay with a shot. Oh, and what a save by Rimmer. And Toshak trending through for a shot as well. And now Arsenal can get it away. Tremendous save there by Jimmy Rimmer. Ball down and injured, and now it's for Matthews. A penalty. Lindsay brings down Matthews. The referee has no hesitation. And Alan Ball, who's at the far end of the field, is the man who normally takes the penalties. I wonder if he's fit enough to. There's Ball. Matthews went through and was pulled down. by Lindsay, and it's going to be Brian Kidd. Brian Kidd then, who has placed the ball on the spot. Well, no, it's going to be Ball who's going to take it. Now, can Ball make it his second goal, and the second for Arsenal? Can he beat Ray Clements? This could be the killer goal, and the responsibility is with Ball and Clements. Yes! 2-0. Lindsay, Rice, Ross. Played for Armstrong. Ross again, controlled that well. What a good piece of play, young Trevor Ross there. Armstrong now can measure this cross. Brady is going in there. Kidd is there too. Here's Brady. There's the shot. Oh, and it's just over. Well, it was Trevor Ross, the youngster, who started that. Started that with that little pass to Armstrong. The cross came over and they were in all sorts of trouble until Brady put it over. Cormac to Neil. Paul into the path of Neil. Now, is this a chance for Liverpool to pull one back? Neil! Oh, what a save by Rimmer! What a great surging run that time by the young Liverpool number 2, Phil Neal, the man they bought from Northampton. He's not scored since he joined the Anfield club, and he could hardly have come closer then. Great save by Rimmer. Here's Callaghan with the cross again, and that time Rimmer making a nice save. By his standards there, a comparatively easy catch. Armstrong a chance to sparkle again as the pass comes in here now for Brady. Still with Brady, but there are white shirts back now. It's so much more difficult. McNabb coming up to support, and he won't have time to do that. The whistle has gone, and two sides have shown that these sort of conditions can be conquered. And Arsenal have shown they've got a lot of spirit in them still. And John Matthews, the man there, the number 4 for Arsenal, has played as well as anybody in this side. A youngster with a tremendous future. A great battle all afternoon between Mancini and Toshak. And the fellow, of course, who in the end was the difference between the two sides, not on the field at the moment, scorer of both the Arsenal goals, Alan Ball, one in the first half and a penalty in the second half. Applause all around Highbury for the whole Arsenal side, not least for Jimmy Rimmer there, who brought off one or two tremendous saves, as indeed did Ray Clements. And that's where Jimmy Rimmer's going now, the handshake of the goalkeepers. A fine afternoon's football at Highbury, which leaves us with a final scoreline that reads Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0.
We're going to make a start at Highbury, where, by a quirk of the Football League fixture computer, Arsenal were given the chance to say whether or not their great North London rivals Tottenham remained a First Division club. A win for Spurs would mean safety. Any other result would put them at the mercy of other sides in similar trouble. So Arsenal hold much of the future of Spurs in their hands. And Spurs, with a good run behind them in recent weeks, arrive for another of those pressure-filled matches, a look of concern and anxiety on most of their faces, though this is something they've learned to live with over the past few worrying months. Now let's pick up the two teams for this vital game. And we find, first of all, that changes are forced upon Arsenal. Goalkeeper Jimmy Rimmer is out. He broke a finger in training. And Jeff Barnett gets his first game for more than 2 seasons. Eddie Kelly also missing. But George Armstrong makes a return in the number 11 shirt. As for Spurs, they are unchanged, with John Pratt now named as the substitute.
Armstrong tried to get there first, but Perryman was after him. Brady now to Nelson. Played on towards Hornsby. Shadowed by Beale. Nelson again. Hornsby trying to dummy his way past Beale, and he didn't succeed. Simpson picking up the loose one. Nelson making a good run, which Spurs didn't really spot. And there's Nelson with an interesting cross there towards Alan Ball, turned down towards Kidd. Oh, and a deflection, did it cross the line? No, said the linesman. No, said the referee. Yes, said Brian Kidd. And Spurs come through unscathed. Now, did that ball cross the line? And with the Spurs supporters chanting at one end, the replies coming swiftly from the North Bank, where the most of the Arsenal fans are ranked at this moment. Ball to Brady. Chipped in once more. Osgood in trouble. Kidd! And he's got it in there! Brian Kidd has scored. Well, that's a terrible blow for Tottenham. As the ball came in there, young Keith Osgood perhaps not quite positive enough, and Kidd was able to sneak in and tuck it under the body of Pat Jennings. Played in towards Duncan. Oh, Barnett had it and lost it, and Con! No, he couldn't quite get it over the line. It was kicked away right at the end by Sammy Nelson. Well, as soon as Jeff Barnett lost that one, Arsenal could have been in trouble. Con just got a foot to it, and Nelson just kicked it away. Knowles. Well there. Naylor. Equally well as Spurs come forward again. Now, Perryman, can he just get there? Barnett didn't quite know where he was. Doesn't know where he was. Oh, can't put it wide. And Terry Naylor is roaring all over the ground. The Spurs players cannot believe it. Perryman went tearing through. Barnett came roaring out. It cannoned off his legs. It looked a simple chance for Alfie Conn, and poor Alfie Conn turned it wide of the post. A throw to Arsenal. Again, the referee looks at his watch, and it could well be that Spurs have got it all to do on Monday night against Tottenham. Brady to ball in a lot of space on the far side against Leeds at White Hart Lane. Hornsby right through there, and Jennings out again, and it's still not away yet. Can Hornsby get past Spurs goalkeeper? He can, and it's headed off the line that time by Osgood. Here's Brady, quite a finale, and this time it's into the arms of Jennings. There goes the final whistle. Arsenal are pleased with their victory, and Spurs have to worry for a little longer to know whether they will come here for the league next season. The only goal of the game scored by Brian Kidd in the first half. Spurs not finding the ball running for them very much in the Arsenal penalty area, but having certainly their moments of luck too in their own penalty area. So we wait and we wonder about the other results and about Spurs against Leeds in this midweek. A final scoreline at Highbury today then that reads Arsenal 1, Spurs 0.
So everything now hinges on Spurs getting a point from their home game against European Cup finalist Leeds United at White Hart Lane tomorrow night. If they do so, they're safe. But what about yesterday's game? In truth, it didn't really reflect a great deal of credit to either side, I think. A lot of effort by both sides. But there are one or two points that are worth examining. First of all, the Arsenal goal that finally sank Spurs. And from the camera behind the goal, we can see, in fact, that young Keith Osgood, who otherwise had a terrific game, just got that touch in there, really wasn't quite positive enough. Didn't get it away, didn't get it back to Jennings, allowing Brian Kidd to get in there and score that vital goal. Although, of course, the Arsenal fans and a lot of the Arsenal players will say that they had a perfectly good goal, not allowed, a few minutes earlier. Some good work here by Sammy Nelson. And as the ball comes across, we wonder, did the ball cross the line or didn't it? That was the incident in dispute. As Ball knocks it back, Kidd hits it well. There's a deflection there that takes it wide of Jennings. Remember, the whole of the ball must be over the line. Cyril Knowles comes in there, stops it going across the line. As you can see, a perfectly good decision by the referee and by the linesman. That was not a goal. But if only Spurs had scored with their one real open chance early in the second half, they would still be a First Division side for sure now. The Alfie Conn miss. A good ball there by Terry Naylor. Perryman scuttling through there. Barnett comes out, but having spread himself, doesn't know where it is. Conn comes in, stretches, in fact, a little more difficult than I thought it was yesterday, as he has to stretch out there. But look how agonisingly close that was to being the goal that Spurs so desperately wanted. And look at the scene in the centre of the field as we come to it now. Terry Naylor there, prostrate in the field. Duncan with his head in his hands. Perryman and Conn both lying flat on the ground as well. So near and yet so far for Tottenham. Let's go across to Highbury, where two of the most inspiring captains in the First Division are in opposition. Alan Ball of Arsenal, who claims his club have now turned the corner to better things, and Billy Bonds of West Ham. What a difference he's made since his return from injury, particularly in Europe. So then let's catch up on the two teams for the game today. And the Arsenal side, first of all, under Alan Ball, unchanged. They've not been beaten in the last 5 games. Relegation worries behind them. Trevor Ross, the young number 4, keeps his place, and Frank Stapleton is the sub. Not so simple, though, for West Ham. Padden, McDowell and Holland are injured. There was a doubt, too, about Tommy Taylor at 5. He may not be fully fit, in fact. But these setbacks give another chance at number 8 to 18-year-old Alan Kirbishley.
So Lampard telling Taylor to go upfield as this free kick comes in and finds John Radford. Out on the side for so long, but back to good effect now. Oh, Armstrong letting it go. Ball with a shot. Back to goal. Exactly 2 minutes gone. Alan Ball the scorer. Radford had a handy on the far side, and when the ball came floating in, the West Ham defence, best known to themselves, allowed that to go right the way through to Alan Ball, completely unmarked. Past Mervyn Day. Kidd. Ball. It's not a bad cross either. Rice right in there. Brady right in there. Kidd might get a shot. And Brooking denied him everything, and a penalty. Penalty given. Could only have been a foul there by Brooking, presumably on Kidd, but the penalty was given without a moment's hesitation by a referee who was well placed. So Mervyn Day again faces Alan Ball from about the sort of range from which Ball scored after 2 minutes. But now it's a simple matter of Ball against Day. And he saved it. Armstrong back again, and Ball couldn't quite turn it in, and a free kick this time given to West Ham. A magnificent penalty save, though, by Mervyn Day from Alan Ball. Taylor. Tremendous acceleration, now finding Brooking. Tried a little curler there to Billy Jennings, and it's there. 1-1. The light on the West Ham faces, it all stemmed from a great challenging run by Alan Taylor. The flick to Trevor Brooking, and a lovely curled cross by Trevor Brooking. Billy Jennings was up, and that put it past Jimmy Rimmer and made it 1-1. And Brady with it. Long one there. Mancini had come up for it. Now Kidd. And another penalty. Kidd brought down, and Arsenal get another penalty. Ball versus Day, part 2. Now the question going through Alan Ball's mind at the moment must be, shall I put it the same way again? Mervyn Day is saying to himself, which way shall I go now? Brian Kidd is coming outside the penalty area. Now, is it going to be 1-1 or is it going to be 2-1 to Arsenal? It's 2-1 to Arsenal. He sent it the other way. Ball sent it the other way. Day guessed correctly that Ball's shot was too sure for him into the back of the net. George Armstrong. Now here's a chance for Armstrong, and that's number 3. 2 goals in a minute have completely undone West Ham. Well, it was a wild slashing kick in that West Ham defence that gave the ball away. Armstrong took it, took on the defender, took it well, found his angle, and beat Day as he came out. Brady's going to take this one. Mancini's right in there, jockeying for position. Curl in there to Radford, hit the crossbar, Has he given it? Yes, he's given the goal. Brian Kidd has scored number 4 for Arsenal, right on the stroke of half-time. Brady curling that free kick in. Radford getting up well and hitting the crossbar. And Kidd a superhuman jump to turn it just over the line before Mervyn Day could claw it out. It's with Ball. Armstrong again. Kidd, and that's another one. Well, some sloppy defence there again by West Ham. Ball and Armstrong making a good combination down that right touchline after a quickly taken free kick. Kidd meeting it. Day possibly at fault there. Brooking with it. Chipped in very delicately, but Pat Rice got that away. Oh, what a good shot again by Lampard. Turned away superbly by Jimmy River. Doesn't score that many goals, Lampard. He really lashed that one. And Jennings then nodding it down only to have it headed away. What a tremendous shot there by Lampard. Fisted away superbly by Jimmy River. And then when the ball came back in again, it put Arsenal under tremendous pressure once more. Very well from McGibbon, straight to Ball. Comes now to Stapleton. Radford unmarked on the right-hand side there. Radford, and another very good save indeed by Mervyn Day. A lovely quick break again by Arsenal, and Radford showing tremendous zest and acceleration there, and a really good, powerful shot. Well saved by Mervyn Day. Well, he really has had a good game. Ball, a touch off there for Brady. Through for Ball again. Now this could be the next one, and it is a hat-trick. No, disallowed. Offside and disallowed. And they've already played again. Match in progress. Kidd turning that ball in, but not much doubt about it that he was offside. Ball in first again. Mancini, Radford turning it on towards Kidd. Now there's Kidd. Oh, crossbar. Well, that's twice he's been so close to that hat-trick. Radford turned that one on nicely. Kidd was on it like a flash. Tremendous shot. Hitting the West Ham crossbar. Ball played through to Kidd again. Now, will it be the hat-trick this time? It is! And number 6 for Arsenal, and a day of great sorrow for Mervyn Day and West Ham. 6 foot past them, 3 of them by the number 10 Brian Kidd. A lovely ball that time from Alan Ball, and there they are hugging each other, the men who made that goal. Ball's pass, Kidd running onto it beautifully, left-footed, past Mervyn Day. Arsenal 6, West Ham 1.
A remarkable afternoon's football, and I must tell you a little story that makes it, I think, a little more remarkable still. Alan Ball woke up yesterday feeling a little under the weather, so he took a couple of aspirins, only to find that after he'd taken them that they were in fact sleeping pills. So before the match there he was in a cold bath at Highbury trying to wake himself up, and as you saw he did it to very good effect with 2 goals, one after only 2 minutes. It must have worked. Now, while it's true that West Ham were weakened and perhaps have Europe as their #1 target, I think it would be quite wrong to undersell the quality of Arsenal's performance yesterday. They played well. And nobody had a more successful afternoon than the hat-trick man, Brian Kidd. And I suggested that it must have been the happiest day of the season for him and Arsenal.
It was, Brian, especially with in recent weeks. I think that's the sixth game now. We've only dropped a couple of points in that, and really we was fighting against relegation a matter of 3 or 4 weeks ago. So everything's came right at the right time.
I thought your hat-trick was never going to come. You got 2 and then you seemed to do everything but score after that.
Well, the lads was making that many chances for me. I was confident it was going to come, you know, really.
Not the first hat-trick you've scored, of course, for Arsenal, is it?
No, last year was in the Cup against York City.
Alan Ball was saying before the start today, he said, I think you'll see a difference. We seem to have turned the corner. Do you, I mean, 6-1 obviously speaks for itself, but overall, do you feel that Arsenal have turned the corner now?
Yes, myself personally, I thought when we went up and played Middlesbrough, I didn't think we got the credit we deserved up there, because we played really some very good, patient football, especially playing against Middlesbrough, because they had 5 at the back. And that was when I really felt confident, when we went up to Middlesbrough and we got the 2 points. Yeah. We was never in any danger of losing 2 points up there.
No. Well, in fact, the pictures don't really point up whether or not Brian Kidd's header did cross the line or not just before half-time, but you have to add that the linesman was perfectly placed and he was the man who signalled that, in fact, it was a good goal. But the Arsenal penalties, they came at a crucial time in the game. I think we ought to clear up any controversy about them now. In fact, Brian Kidd was involved in both of them. Here's the first one coming up now, where he's challenged by Tommy Taylor, not Trevor Brooking, as I said earlier. And you can see Tommy Taylor just gets his right knee, I think, in the groin of Brian Kidd there, brings him down, and look at the placing of the referee. He couldn't have been better placed to see it. The second one, perhaps a little more problematical. Brian Kidd again taking possession here, and it's the challenge from Frank Lampard coming up now. There is a contact's made, although it's a rather delayed fall there by Brian Kidd. That may be a little more problematical, but I think maybe the referee was right to give both those penalties.
Welcome to the Christmas edition of The Big Match. And if you're wondering where Brian Moore's disappeared to, well, I've always wanted to do this show, so I paid him 20 quid, which is 2 weeks' wages, and he went away very, very happy. But now, let me see, I've got some people to help me out today, and I really need helping out. Kevin Keegan and Mick Channon.
I'd just like to, thank you very much for lending me these glasses. I think,
And who gave you the earrings?
Sorry?
Where did you get the earrings from?
Do you like them? I thought they're quite nice, actually.
Tremendous, I tell you. Does a lot for
Borrowed
you.
at Watford.
Does a lot for you, there. First class.
How did you get on yesterday, you two?
Well, we're celebrating, actually, because we scored 3 goals between us, Elton, yesterday. Not bad, really, for forwards. He got 3 and I didn't get any, but that's not beside the point.
And nearly an own goal from you as well?
Yeah, well, I'm getting desperate now. I'm sort of... can't get him in at one end, so you're trying to put him in at the other, anything will do.
I know how you feel. Anyway, enough of this bantering, and on to the real soccer fans at home. We have the first match lined up for us at Highbury, so let's go and join Brian Moore at Highbury now.
Well, thank you, Elton, and welcome to Highbury. Really heavy conditions here after 36 hours of almost constant rain. In fact, it's still raining. Surface water beginning to appear on the pitch. And the Arsenal team today, without their new signing, Alan Hudson, £250,000 from Stoke. He's got a stomach strain. Peter Storey takes the number 7 shirt. And another change force on Arsenal because of the suspension of fullback Sammy Nelson. Richie Powling gets his shirt. Manchester United, meanwhile, have had a bad couple of months. This is their side. They now leave out Steve Coppell, his place at number 7 taken by David McCreary. But good news for United fans is that 2 of their stalwarts are back in the side. Martin Buchan in the defence for the first time since October after injury. And into midfield now comes Lou Macari. He's missed the last 5 games through injury. Armstrong, nice touch again. Brady trying to shake off the Manchester United players. But it was McCreary who finally gets it away, and again the flagging on the far side for an offside against Gordon Hill. And already taken. Armstrong. Oh, a lovely touch now for Ross. And McDonald! 5 minutes gone. And Malcolm McDonald pays another instalment. Another good start for Arsenal, a good break down the right. Ross very heavily involved in it again. And as it comes across the face of that 6-yard area, a simple job to finish it off for Malcolm McDonald. To Sammy McIlroy, Greenough is really hobbling badly, and I think it's only a matter of time before Manchester United have to take him off. McIlroy, oh, lovely touch by him. Oh, what a great run by McIlroy. And he scored! Well, a sad job there for Rimmer, and smiles everywhere for Manchester United and Sammy McIlroy as he tiptoed his way through that Arsenal defence. It looked at the last as though he might be held up, but the ball ran kindly to him, and he slipped it wide of a stranded Rimmer, and that's the equaliser. Ball with Forsyth. Jimmy Greenoff. Oh, that one was wide that time from Macari. So a good comeback by Manchester United. I'm just wondering, though, how long Brian Greenoff can go on. You don't see him hobbling there, but every time he has to exert himself and go for a ball, he really is struggling. Armstrong, long ball forward. Buchan and now Brady, McDonald. Almost hitting Jack Taylor, but here's Powling. Simpson. Stapleton. And Story. Curled in once more. Simpson helping it on its way. Brady! Yes! Liam Brady! Right on half-time. The little Irishman, Liam Brady, puts Arsenal 2-1 into the lead. The ball coming in from the left, just touched on by Peter Simpson, falling nicely for Liam Brady, round a defender and into the net. So an Arsenal throw to be taken by Armstrong. McDonald. Houston away. Ball for Pearson. A touch for Macari. Lovely ball by Macari, and now Hill in full flight. Jimmy Greenoff's in the middle, Pearson's in the middle, a chip by Hill! Oh, how unlucky! Hill falls to the ground. Well, I think most of us were looking for the United players who were coming up. But Hill had spotted that Rimmer was out of his goal. A beautiful little chip. Just wise. Really, he's only got to look for Brady, the biggest man on the field, and you can be sure he's near him too. And there they go together. Story. Stapleton. Very nearly getting that through to McDonald, and surprisingly getting another chance. Quickly up off the deck, and having another go as well, Frank Stapleton. Touching it wide for Ross this time. Armstrong on the outside. McDonald waiting in the middle. And Stapleton again is on the far side. Got the header in! Stapleton's goal! Well, the work that he put into that goal was incredible. He fought and he fought. And when he won the ball and got it away, he was there on the far post as that floated cross came in. Up went Stapleton. And McDonald was right in there. McDonald may just have touched it over. They may well be arguing about as to whose credit that goal goes to. Well, there's McIlroy again. He's beginning to sparkle again in this game for Manchester United. But he hit it straight, and Pearson very nearly got the rebound. McIlroy's good run, and the shot really is an optimistic one from that sort of angle, but it bounced off Rimmer, and Pearson hit the rebound back, again off the goalkeeper, behind for the corner. Well, Houston's up again. Hill with the corner, held in once more. He's got time now to consider what he can do again. Well, maybe he hasn't. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful, and it very nearly produced something. Well, that was a lovely piece of Christmas juggling by Gordon Hill. and it frightened the life out of Arsenal and Jimmy Rowe. North Bank are chanting champions, and certainly Arsenal have made another big step towards becoming a contender. And here's Brady, 1 goal already so far in this game. Oh, and so nearly a second one. Jinking and weaving again. And a matter of inches in it at the end. And a corner, which Armstrong will take. O'Leary up again for it. And in fact, he pushed rather vigorously down on Houston as the final whistle goes. Arsenal's climb continues, and Manchester United slide likewise, with Arsenal winning by 3 goals to 1 and thoroughly deserving it as well. With Malcolm McDonald, Liam Brady and Frank Stapleton scoring for Arsenal, with a solitary reply coming from Sammy McIlroy for Manchester United. Good game, not always difficult, not always easy conditions, but I think most people here got value for money. A final scoreline then: Arsenal 3, Manchester United 1, and back to Elton John in the studio.
Right, that was a good win for Arsenal, and one that puts them 5th in Division 1. And for those of you who've just tuned in, don't switch off yet, because I'm looking after the programme today with Mick Channon and Kevin Keegan. But what I think we ought to do now is to really sort out who scored that Arsenal goal, the last goal. The papers seem to say it was McDonald today, but Brian seemed to think it was Frank Stapleton, and after looking at it, I mean, really, I think it was Frank Stapleton. What do you think?
Well, you know, I wouldn't have the cheek to claim it, to be honest with you, but I think Supermax after the 30 goals, you know, and the 10,000 quid, because it's quite obvious as the cross comes in here. It's a great header from Frank Stapleton, and you can see quite clearly from this angle.
He definitely got a touch to it, didn't he? I mean,
oh,
no question of that, is there?
Yeah, mate, even Elton could see that he did with his glasses.
With my glasses, I can see that.
I think we all better put our glasses on, don't you?
It's a great header from the lad. But this angle, you know, it looks like it changes direction a bit, but...
From behind the goal, it definitely looks as if he hadn't got nowhere near it. But,
yeah.
If he says he touched it, well, he touched it.
I can't, you know, I'm not having it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'd be a bit sick if it was Frank Stapleton, actually.
Yeah, I should think so.
Especially seeing it on the television, probably yesterday, it might have looked more... Because he would have probably been falling over after heading it, but no way. You can't have that, Malcolm. No way.
Well, there you go. We all seem to think... What do you think? You giving it to McDonald, eh?
No, I think Frank Stapleton.
Well, it's Stapleton 3, McDonald 0 at the moment, I'm afraid.
Oh, and Pearson put through by Greenhoff. Jones is after him. Pearson shot, goal! Our main match is at Highbury, where Arsenal take on Nottingham Forest, who arrived with a 100% record. Our guests on the programme today are John Lyall, the manager of West Ham United, who joins us here in the studio. But first we go to Highbury, where a 40,000 crowd had come to see Arsenal face Nottingham Forest, many drawn, no doubt, by the 2 men who've guided Forest to a brilliant start this season. And here is the combination then that's had the First Division talking. Brian Clough and Peter Taylor bringing their side to London for the first time this season. 4 wins in 4 games. And the man who scored in every one of them, Peter With, their strongly built striker who scored twice against West Ham in midweek. But if Pat Jennings has any say in it, there won't be a repeat of that today, though it's still very strange seeing Pat as an Arsenal player after all those brilliant years at Tottenham. And here's Graham Rix, a Yorkshire lad who's forced his way into the reckoning now for Arsenal, who scored on his first appearance at the tail end of last season against Leicester. So young Rix lines up in an unchanged Arsenal side, the one that knocked Manchester United out of the League Cup on Tuesday night when Malcolm McDonald scored twice. And of course, as well as Pat Jennings, there's also former Tottenham defender Willie Young at number 6. As for Nottingham Forest, like Arsenal, they're unchanged. Indeed, Brian Clough has chosen the same 11 players for all 4 games this season. Apart from with, watch out for the pace and skill of Tony Woodcock up front, and the sturdy defence of Kenny Burns, Forest's big buy in the summer from Birmingham City. A defence that has conceded only 1 goal this season. Nelson with the throw. Brady. Nelson again. Chipped in there towards MacDonald. There's his header! Well, it's Stapleton who's running away. It was Stapleton and MacDonald who went up together. But there's not a doubt in anybody's mind that it was a good goal for Arsenal that puts them 1-0 into the lead. With just over 3 minutes gone, John Stapleton playing his first game at Highbury, beaten, and now we shall see what Forest are made of. The long cross came slanting in, MacDonald and Stapleton went up together, and it floated beyond the Forest keeper into the back of the net. MacDonald after this one. Oh, and Middleton made a mess of that. Ricks back to Brady. Well, they all looked and they all waited, and in the end it was wide by Trevor Ross. Certainly there's been no sign of Nottingham Forest's heads going down, even though they suffered that early blow. Well, they're looking for a goal now from the likes of Tony Woodcock. It's Anderson through to Woodcock. McGovern playing it wide to Robertson. Could be interesting. Played there for McGovern. Well, that was a poor shot by McGovern. That was a better one, and it wasn't foul. It was a bad first shot that John McGovern played in, but he was a little fortunate one to find it coming back to him, but when he did, he really lashed the second one, but it was always just that little bit too high. Woodcock being policed there by O'Leary. Oh, between his legs. Oh, and O'Leary winning it well. That's a beautiful ball by O'Leary. Stapleton is free. Oh! Smacked it against Middleton, who couldn't get his hands to it, and MacDonald, the ball bobbling just as he was about to hit it, but the whistle had gone and Stapleton's gone down. But what a ball that was from David O'Leary. What a brilliant young player he is. Right into the path of Frank Stapleton, and from the edge of the box, Stapleton let fly. Middleton, it must have moved a bit in the air off Middleton's chest, and MacDonald made a real hash of the rebound. Clark. Young beating good in the air. Robertson coming in very quickly there, but Sammy Nelson now. Woodcock with the shot, and a good save by Pat Jennings. And O'Neill is in there, and Jennings diving to save his life and his goal again. And they very nearly gave a lot away there, Arsenal. It was a bad mistake there by Sammy Nelson, and Forest were on it like a flash. Jennings made a good save. Only half got it away, and as O'Neill came in on the far side, Jennings had to save again. Trevor Ross with the corner for Arsenal. Oh, it's in there! Stapleton's put another one in. Well, that was unbelievable. So a smiling Irishman from an impossible angle, the corner from Trevor Ross, nodded out by Nottingham Forest, and he must have been standing almost on the byline, Frank Stapleton, and he rocketed it past to Middleton for number 2. Well, Anderson did well to judge that long clearance from Pat Jennings, but here's Ricks for Arsenal. Nelson. Brady. Stapleton's on the ground. I don't know how he got there. And the linesman on this side flagging, he saw something that I didn't see, and the referee didn't see either, because it happened away off the ball. The linesman here with the yellow flag, Mr. Previtt of New Malden. Ron Challis left with a decision to make. What's he going to do? The Arsenal players are pointing to the penalty box. They feel that if there was an infringement, it was inside the penalty area. He's having a word with Kenny Burns, and he's going to be booked, I think. A look of innocence on the face of Kenny Burns, but he did not, whatever it was, escape the eagle eye of the linesman with the yellow flag. So his name will go into the book. And the yellow card. Now what happens now? It's got to be a penalty. And it is a penalty. Well, a mysterious infringement, but a clear-cut decision. And a chance now for Arsenal to go 3-0 up. And Liam Brady, who's had a brilliant game, with a chance now of getting that third Arsenal goal. And it's 3-0. Taken by the little Irishman with great confidence. Never a moment of doubt in his mind that he was going to score. And that's 3-0. Woodcock trying to come away from O'Leary this time. Kept control well. Kenny Burns. Howling played it just a little too close to Burns when he hoped to get O'Grady away, get to Liam Brady away. Robertson nicking it in there for Bowyer. Back again for Woodcock. Oh, and a tremendous piece of goalkeeping there by Pat Jennings. It was a lovely 1-2 though, mind you. And Tony Woodcock shaking his head in astonishment. A lovely 1-2 there, and it eventually reached Woodcock, staring straight at Pat Jennings. He volleyed at him, and somehow it hit Jennings on the body and went away to safety.
And indeed it was a performance with few mistakes by Arsenal, but a lesson or two to be learned there by Nottingham Forest. And there were one or two unsavoury moments in the game, not least the incident involving the penalty and the yellow card for Kenny Burns. But there was an incident earlier that the referee and linesman did not spot, but the camera did. It happened during a line-up for a wall with Richie Powling and Kenny Burns behind him. It starts as a bit of a giggle as Kenny Burns tickles the Arsenal player. Liam Brady waits to take the kick. And you'll notice the Arsenal player there, Powling, just kicking back a little bit on Burns. That happens often enough in a penalty, in a wall. It doesn't make it right. But watch Kenny Burns now as this kick's about to be taken, butting Powling in the back of the neck. The referee didn't see it. If he had, he might have had something to say about it. But something that they did see was this penalty incident, or at least the linesman saw. Now watch the left-hand side of your screen as Frank Stapleton comes lunging there. Presumably there had been some contact from Kenny Burns from behind. We don't see that contact though, but the linesman did. He had his yellow flag raised and he wouldn't put it down until Ron Challis, the referee, came over to him. And really it was a good piece of refereeing by Ron Challis to give that penalty, taking the word of a linesman, working well together as a team. So the yellow card for Kenny Burns. And just look now at John McGovern, the Forest captain. He knows that Kenny Burns has let the side down and he's letting him know. And I think there might be a word or two from Brian Clough on that subject as well. Of course, it doesn't matter where the ball is, as long as it's in play. It's where the incident happens that matters. And Ron Challis, of course, was 100% right to give Arsenal a penalty on that occasion. There were some good moments in the game as well. And this was a lovely Arsenal move. There's Liam Brady, the long crossfield ball. Young Ricks over his own head, spotting Sammy Nelson coming up. A ball played quickly down the line there for Richie Powling. And as the cross comes in, a very good move from one end of the field to the other, full of artistry there. Alas, Arsenal couldn't quite do anything about it. It really wasn't quite as good a game, I think, as a lot of people hoped that it was going to be. But at least there were some good moments at Highbury yesterday, as well as some of the not so good. And I'm quite sure we haven't heard the last from Nottingham Forest, at any rate, about that Kenny Burns incident.